Hi, my name is Robert Marsella, and this is my Atavist for first year writing on letters. And the question I asked was a causation question that said, which elements has caused people to try and prevent the art of letter writing to die out? To give a little introduction on letter writing and how it is shown to me. So now in college is really the first time where the art of letter writing has been really brought up to me besides probably in elementary school and like they just teach you how to write letters and the basics to it. So while reading the Coates book, it was shown how important letter writing is, and doing research on it, I have found that it's been around for many years and it pretty much shaped the world into what it is today. And it's been used to communicate through things like war, movements, and like it's used in the Bible. So it's very important to the world. And one of the terms that is another word for letter writing is epistolary, and I looked up the definition. And it's an adjective, and it's of a literary work in the form of letters. And letters were one of the first real forms of communicating besides face to face, but now today it's dying out just because of all the different things that we can use on the internet, like texting, email, and other forms of instant messaging. So letter writing hasn't been used as much. So the book Between the World and Me is a book that I just recently read, and it's about a father who is writing a letter to his son. And he starts off the book by just writing the word son, so that kind of just told me that, oh, this is a letter to his son. And throughout different stages, he talks directly to his son, whose name is Samorin, is asking him different questions and kind of just leading him through life throughout the book. And he never refers to his son like in the third person unless he's talking like right to him clearly. And reading this book was one of my first like looks recently into letter writing, and this is like a great example of it. So I'm happy that I had to read it. And it's a great example how letter writing has been kept alive to the day. And here's the cover to the book. So The Lost Art of Letter Writing was an article written by Malcolm Jones that was published onto the Newsweek website. And in this article, he pretty much talks about where letters started, how they came to be, like how they became so popular. And then he goes on to talk about how they kind of decreased in popularity and what's going to happen with them. And one of the quotes that he states says, "Historians may divide time not between BC and AD in the future, but between the eras when people wrote letters and when they did not." And I felt that that quote was very important because it's coming true now as we just look at it. Just letters are barely used now. In the past, they were just used so much. So it's almost like a new time frame is being created with letter writing. And the main thing that historians they still do, like rely on when they're looking at things from the past is handwritten stuff. And that's how they like kind of tell what was going on in the past. And it just enabled us to learn so much about the past that without that we wouldn't really know much at all about what really happened in the past. And as you can see, there are different companies and stuff that are trying to create letter writing, well, not like get it back to where it used to be and make it more popular. The tweet right here by Farmer Pack saying, "Get out your pen and paper this month. Send you love some snail mail." And this is just a little advertisement by them on Twitter. Found was by Graham Romeu, and it was just went over like some of the most important letters throughout history. And one of the big ones was a series of letters that were written by Martin Luther King Jr. called Letters from Birmingham Jail. And they were written while he was in jail, just out to people who looked up to him, just to let them know and talk to him. So there are a lot of different artifacts that came from these. And here I have a tweet by an account dedicated to Martin Luther King. And it says, "I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. MLK, April 16th, 1963. And then I have a screenshot from the book containing the letters from Birmingham jail. It just shows what the letters looked like that he was writing while he was in the jail. The article that I found, it was just an article on the term epistolary, and it kind of just described exactly what it was and like down to the nit and grit of everything about it. And it also showed a lot of examples where it was used, and some of them include the writing Frankenstein, Dracula, Pamela, and the Diary of a Young Girl. And these all tell stories through letter writing using this form. The article states that this form adds realism to narrative since it's telling a story, and it's easy for an author to express his feelings. Then here, he describes how Dracula is an example of epistolary. So the last article that I have in this Atavist is an article titled Letters in America that was written by Katherine Burke, and it was published onto the Smithsonian Postal Museum website. And she posted this so that people were able to learn about the history of letter writing in America and just how it is how she thinks it will be in the future. So throughout this, she pretty much just goes through the history of letter writing and then how it really is as an art, and it's more than just writing a simple letter. And one of the biggest things that she stated to me was that letter writing was one of the first things that was done when people first arrived in America. They actually just wrote letters that they sent back to England to tell people how the United States was. And a lot of people, Burke states, described it as a paradise beyond human imagining. And that just pretty much shows that people, when they first came here, like, that was the only form of communication. That's immediately what they did to talk back to the people that they loved at home. Then Burke also talks about the future of letter writing, and she doesn't feel that letter writing will be used in the future at all, considering how rarely it is used now and how much is just decreasing and decreasing. But she is very passionate about the letter writing, so I think that there will still be a limited amount of people that will keep it alive, but it will be very tough to keep alive. So my last article was a TED Talk done by Prety Lakshmi, in which she talks about her past in letter writing, where her father actually wrote her letters before he was dying, just including advice on life and stuff like that. And then when he did pass away, she actually had that to hold on to, and she just felt like that was very close to her just because she knows that he put his hand on that, he wrote that, and it's directed to her, and she's just so passionate about it. And she also talks about how she plans on writing a notebook to leave behind to her son when she passes away, so that he can have that same feeling that she had with her father. And then here I have a tweet by Podcast Playlist, and it's about a quote from Lakshmi that states, "As I write, I feel like there's an artwork happening on this piece of paper. Nobody else writes like that. It's nobody else's signature, it's only mine." This just shows how passionate she feels about letter writing, how she just knows that that's her handwriting, that was her father's handwriting on there, and she just wants to hope that gets passed on. So while doing this Atavist, I just opened up really a new world to me, just realizing how important letter writing has been and just how pretty much irrelevant it is to a lot of people's lives now. And I really didn't really realize how Lakshmi looked at it, and how the person that wrote the letter has actually touched it, thinking about you, writing to you. So that really could really mean a lot to people, and I feel like a lot of people these days who had someone pass away that they loved would love to have something like that and don't even realize it. And letter writing has just really shaped cultures and was one of the first things that people did when they arrived to America. So finally, I have a little clip by PBS Parents that is on letter writing and the importance to maybe having your kid do a pen pal.
Writing letters to faraway friends can help bridge any distance. Having a pen pal either in a different country or just a town away helps kids practice skills in literacy, writing, and geography. But for me, there's an even more important skill kids learn: patience. Raising kids in the digital age means they don't have to wait for much anymore. Almost everything is just a click away. And that's great for some things, but for others, it's a problem. Writing letters with pencil and paper slows kids down. It makes what they read and write even more special.
So I just felt that really showed how important letter writing can be in a kid's life and how you can implement it into a kid's life. So I just like to thank you for listening to my Atavist, and that's it.